Hello! Welcome to Painted Forest Art. I'm Rebecca, and today I'm going to be starting a design on this orangey glass that is actually a leftover remnant from a project that I just did, and I'll link to that video down below. And originally I was actually going to do a very different design for this. For whatever reason, I started looking at this book, which is Plants and Their Application to Ornament. It's a 19th-century design primer by Eugene Grasset. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but sorry. And I got it at the Boston Museum of Art many years ago. But it's a great book, and I'll talk a lot more about it in the video and describe it a bit more. But it has all of these wonderful pictures of nasturtiums, which I don't know if you know your flowers, but nasturtium is a vine-like plant that has beautiful flowers that are often this vibrant orange color, just like this glass. So I think I'm going to combine these two designs a little bit, although I haven't really finalized exactly what I want to do, so we're all in this together, finding out how this is going to go as it goes. So let's get to it. I do believe that I would like both a small paneled border like this one, and also I'm going to combine this sort of circular idea to break up the background a little bit and add some interest to it. So I will get started on that. Pattern books like this were often used by craftspeople who were designing goods to have a jumping off point for a design. There were lots of different kinds of these books. Besides flowers, there were human figures, architecture, ornamental motifs, and more. The artist might have a commission to make something like wallpaper with a certain theme, and instead of having to go to a garden to find, a certain kind of plant, or just always starting from scratch, they could look at something like this and it would spark their imagination. However, as the original foreword to the book points out, they weren't encouraged to merely copy the patterns in the book. The original creator of the book in the 1896 foreword wrote, "The artist, the art critic, and even the amateur have long since come to the conclusion that mere repetition and reproduction of the art results of bygone centuries is a mistake and an unprofitable occupation." So don't just copy his stuff. Art can achieve nothing by such paltry and groveling methods. To advance, art must evolve and develop in the direction of higher aspirations and of truth. Herein lies the secret of the truer art scholarship. The question is, how shall the scholar teach himself, themselves, on sound principles? The answer is by acquainting themselves with these principles, by studying the works and methods of the great artists of the past, but emphatically not by a mere faithful copying of their works or their methods. He says, "The art of drawing is not the art of observing forms and objects alone. It is not mere mimicry of these objects. It is the art of knowing how far and wherein and with what just limitations those forms and objects can be reproduced in a picture or in a decorative work." Which I think means don't just copy nature either. Nature already does it better. Study natural forms, obviously, and then think about how else they can best be represented in what you're doing. He also says, "The drawings that follow are addressed more particularly to the decorative artist and the art student, and the purpose of the plates contained in this volume is to represent natural forms in their exactitude, and then bridging over the distance between form as found in nature and form conventionalized in accordance with sound traditions of art, to exhibit the stages through which natural objects must pass before they can find their adaptation to ornamental use." So, scientifically accurate drawings are beautiful, but usually that's because the subject itself is beautiful or interesting, not because of their artistic composition. I mean, obviously, I'm not knocking people who do scientific drawings. They're very difficult to do well. But for most art, that level of detail is unnecessary. So the book patterns itself by showing realistic sketches so that the craftsperson knows what the original plant looks like. And then there are a couple of pages of design ideas based on that plant. And these designs might be best used in certain mediums, textiles, stained glass, wood carving, etc., or they may be a general design that could be adapted to numerous uses. And I love that because it really makes me want to stretch my imagination to new applications for these themes. And that's the whole point of the book. Now, obviously, in most ways, the internet has taken over as the jumping off point for design, and we have excellent cameras that capture every detail of anything you could need, so you don't have to have books like these on hand anymore. I mean, Pinterest is basically where anyone can make their own themed collection of designs. So unless you also just really love books and prints, like I do, then you don't need to spend money on them. But sometimes it is really nice to have a physical object in your hand to spark your creativity. And if you still don't want to spend much money, I think that coloring books are the way to go. This sounds kind of silly, but I don't really mean kids' coloring books. I mean books that you find at most historical sites and art museums. Like, this is one of my favorites. I got it at Cahokia Mounds in Missouri. And it just has fantastic designs from Native American artwork. So I already did this flower. I meant to record that, but I forgot to push play. So I'll do the second flower. That's just the same. The problem with having the fan for ventilation, well, besides that every once in a while stray hairs come loose and then I am driven nuts by hair all over my face, besides that, is that it tends to dry out this paint really quickly, so I have to keep thinning it to keep it a good consistency. I was gonna do the little speckles here in the same blue as the border, but you know what? I think using the paint pen is just going to be a bit easier and it's not going to look that much different. But I do just have to be careful not to put any blue speckles on the leaves or the flowers, because then you'll be able to see it and it won't look right. Alright, I think I like this green, but I do want to flip this around and check it, just to make sure. Yeah, I think that'll look nice. So in some ways, reverse painting is easier than regular painting because you're doing the detailed stuff first, so you can just color in the lines of your drawing. You don't have to try to remember where your drawing lines were. Now I'm going to put the vines in, and I had thought about just doing them in green, but since there's already so much green, I think I'm going to outline them first in black, and then put the green in so that they pop hopefully a little bit more against all of this other green. Not too much more to do. I got the vines all done. Now I'm gonna outline this white circular border just to make it a little bit easier on myself, and then paint it in. I was debating putting the red lines for these flowers up here on the first layer, but I think I'm gonna wait for this white line to dry, and then I'm gonna do them on the back to be consistent with these others. And then I'll also thicken these lines under just so you don't have this gap right in here like you can see on the camera. So in classic me fashion, I figured I was done with this piece. I was about to start doing the framing and getting it all set up, and then I was like, you know what? It needs more. So, I needed to do something with the stained glass itself. So I'm gonna add a little bit of kind of shading to the back of the flowers that will hopefully be a shadow kind of in the middle of the flowers. You know how it's a bit darker in the middle, so. But this is a little bit tricky because when you look at it in different angles, then it's gonna kind of move around a little bit. So it's not gonna be real precise. All right, let me show you this piece. So I really like how the composition turned out. And the stained glass itself doesn't have a lot of detail to it, so I mostly used it for the punch of color. I didn't show a whole lot of the glass, but did a lot more painting than some of my other ones. And I'll put up some pictures at the end so that you can see what it looks like in different lights as well. I also wanted to do some channel housekeeping. Well, hi, buddy. There we go. He's my gigantic cat. So that you are all aware, I do have an Etsy page where I sell the glass pieces and some prints. So if you're interested, there is a link. There is a link in the description below. And I have a slightly irregular video posting schedule. There goes the cat. But there is a method to my madness. I make 2 videos and therefore 2 pieces concurrently. And so that can take me 3 to 4 weeks to get those done. And then I post one video and post the next one a week after that. So my goal is to get out 2 videos a month, but they're not every 2 weeks, it's 3 weeks and then 1 week. So I do hope that you join me for more videos, and thank you so much for watching this one, and have a good day. Bye!